All right. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. I wanted to touch base with you on making amends. It's part of the recovery process. And so I'm here today to share my experience, strength, and my hope with you so that you can stay in the recovery process. We must go back and do our best to repair the damage that we have done in our active addiction. I have to do my best to make amends to those I've harmed. Some of them are pretty obvious and straightforward, although still difficult. And, if I stole from you, I owe you for what I stole. And I need to go back and tell you, hey, I took this stuff and I want to pay you back for it. Or, if I cheated on a time card or I owe some taxes or something, those are pretty straightforward. And then there's some that are much more difficult, those deeper personal relationships. I'll give you a for instance. I have a son, his name is Jacob, and he's 24 years old, and he is a beautiful baby boy. At least he was the last time I saw him. When he was born, I did my best to stay clean and sober. It was a long time ago, and it was 24 years ago, and I certainly wasn't in any kind of a program, and I didn't know about any kind of a program at the time. And so I just did what they called white knuckling it, and the love for that baby boy, that beautiful baby boy, I thought would be enough to keep me from going off the deep end. I was still in the point in my addiction where I thought, as long as I don't do hard drugs or drink whiskey, I'll probably be okay, right? And I didn't know the depth of my addiction. So when he was 8 months old, my friend came over and asked me if I wanted to go have a beer. And I said, sure, why not? And Jacob's mother at the time said, that's a really bad idea. And I said, oh, come on, man, it's just a beer. I mean, I'm just going to go have a beer with my friend. It's been a while since I've had one. And so we went down to the bar and we had a beer. And the next thing I know, I'm on this meth run, and I'm getting farther and farther away from my family. And I don't know if you've ever done something that you're so ashamed of that you can't go back. But the farther I got away from my family, the more difficult it was to go back. And about 4.5 years later, I got out of prison. And in that time, his mother had met someone and gotten married, and he had someone who was stable and wonderful in his life for all these years that he has called dad, right? And so I'm really grateful for that piece of it, is that he has been able to have a male role model in his life who has been stable and wonderful, and his mother really straightened her act up and has just been beautiful for that kid, right? So all those years later, when I got sober, it was really difficult for me because she was still nervous and said, hey, you ruined our lives when you left, and I don't trust you enough to let you come back into his life. And so I had to honor that, right? So how do I make amends to that boy? Well, if he ever wants to be a part of my life, he knows where I'm at and he'll reach out to me. But I've also, you guys have probably heard me talk about Jack and Dean a million times. Those are my sons, right? And one of them's 15 and one of them's almost 13. And how I have made amends to Jacob is, I've been sober 19 years. And so those boys have never seen me drink or use. They've seen me in some craziness in my early recovery, but what I have done is I have placed them first in my life, and everything is about those boys, and I love them more than anything else, and I would do anything for them. And they only see what I hope to be a stable dad who shows up in their life, a real role model in their life, and I try my best to do that. In recovery, we call that a living amends. So if you're facing something that's difficult in terms of an amends and you need help with that, please, please, please reach out to me, and I will do everything I can to help